It's now time for another Matich Monday. ESPN College Football insider, expert, and analyst, BYU national champion Trevor Matich is back. And after an historic win for BYU, the Cougars have never dominated a top 15 opponent like this, Trevor. It happened on Saturday night. How are you feeling after what BYU did to Kansas State?
Somebody's living right, because so many things happened that went BYU's way, and then to their credit, BYU jumped on it and ran with it. I mean, it was amazing. And as I watched that game, it looked like the whole atmosphere was astonishing. The players were jumping around. They were having fun. They were playing downhill. Everything pretty much was going their way. It looked like the fans were all into it. I mean, what an amazing moment. Of all games I've seen in a number of years, that's the one that I wished I could have been to.
Hey, and we'd love to have you at any game you can come to. You're a little busy at the worldwide leader there. But, Trevor, it's just like we thought. 241 yards of total offense would yield 38 points. It's the end of the second quarter and the beginning of the third, the middle eight, as they call it. BYU dominated. They turned 3 takeaways into 21 points like that. How surprised were you by that sequence?
Well, how often have you seen something like that? I mean, you'd see it happen just like once or twice over the course of a short period of game time, but they just kept rolling with those things. And once again, you know, on the one hand, the defense had a scoop and score, so that's an instant score, but then they got a couple of takeaways and immediate touchdowns as well. The offense converted. They stopped them on downs. The offense converted. So you've got to give a lot of credit to the way they played complementary football there. The defense was on fire. But the offense didn't just get the ball and be conservative and kick a field goal. The offense went for it. I mean, they went for the how can you say this on TV? They went for the big play.
Yeah.
And I think that was just awesome. And when they got it, it fed on itself.
PG-friendly, Trevor Matich on BYU Sports.
This is BYUtv, so
we appreciate that. Chris Kleiman had some interesting comments at halftime and after the game where he essentially said, look, this isn't about BYU. This is about Kansas State beating ourselves. That's an interesting comment because BYU fans by nature are going to be a little bothered that there's no recognition from the coach that, hey, BYU is making some plays too. But how do you view that whole conversation of this is more on Kansas State and their mistakes or more on BYU making plays?
Well, Kansas State doesn't play BYU again in the regular season. And my sense is that Coach Kleiman was talking to his own team, not to BYU fans or even his own fans, because he needs to clean up the mistakes that they made. I mean, they had 3 turnovers. BYU fans would say we had 3 takeaways. But from Kansas State's perspective, it's turnovers. And they had 8 penalties. Now, those penalties, some of them were caused by the crowd with the false start. Some of them were caused by relentless pressure by the BYU defense, which drew holding penalties, things like that. But at the same time, it doesn't bother me at all that a coach is talking to his team through the media, because as much as you don't want your team to read the press, read what's being said, listen to the video, they're going to do it. They're going to see social media. So they are going to see their coach say this to them, not just one time in the team meeting, not just during practice, but every time they go online, their coach is going to be either saying that or someone's going to be responding to it. We need to not beat ourselves. Don't beat ourselves. Don't beat ourselves. And BYU fans have seen the Cougars do that over the last several years. Remember this, that more games are lost than they are won. They're lost by mistakes than they are won by big plays. In this particular game, I think it's a combination of both. There were mistakes that Kansas State made that were avoidable mistakes. But mostly those mistakes were, if not caused by, certainly there was a big contribution by BYU and the relentless pressure that they put on the Wildcats. So I think it's not just a matter of Kansas State messed up. BYU had a big hand in that as well.
We'll see how things shake out throughout the season, but right now in the moment on the Monday after, that game, that win, that experience feels like one of the top, 20 games ever played at LaVell Edwards Stadium. I've seen people on Twitter challenge me and say, no, this is top 10. Spencer mentioned, hey, BYU's never defeated a top 15 team by that margin. Amazing. Where do you fit that win in the BYU pantheon of games in Provo?
I think from a standpoint of just pure entertainment, you've got to put it probably in the top three as I'm thinking about them. I mean, the Miami win, the Ty Detmer win over then number one Miami has to be number one, doesn't it?
Yep.
Yep. And so, but this one has to be up there because it's not just the fact that it was a great win. It was the fact that it was an astonishingly entertaining win. It was deeply emotionally satisfying for everybody in that stadium that was rooting for BYU. And then when you talk about things going your way, I mean, often games there'll be an ebb and flow, right? But when it goes your way, it goes your way. And just look at the Parker Kingston punt return for a touchdown. He shouldn't have tried to field that ball, but when he did, he took off to the left. He picked up some great blocks. Isaiah Glasker, by the way, was one of those guys with those blocks. He's one of the heroes on this team so far that gets overshadowed by so many other heroes. But then he goes all the way to the other side of the field, takes off, and ends up losing his lunch on the sideline after he goes then almost, 100 yards for a touchdown, but he ran over 100 or about 150 yards. That was awful. It should have been a terrible play for BYU. He should have been tackled on the 2-yard line with Kansas State having all the momentum. And in this blink of an eye, it turns into a massive momentum play for BYU. Now imagine you're the fans. You see that happening. You see, oh no, don't try to field it. Don't try to field it. Okay, got it. Okay. So he didn't fumble it. That's good. Oh no, he's still trying to run. Oh no, he's going sideways. Oh no, he's kind of going back. It's going to be terrible. Wait, it might be good. Wait, he's still going. And imagine that whole sequence for fans, and the team, everybody watching on the side. Imagine Kalani Sitake watching that, for goodness sake. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Oh, nice job. Right. And so that sequence to me is an emotional touchstone for what the experience must have been in that entire stadium. Now, I will say this to young Mr. Kingston. Nice effort, nice return. Don't do that again. He will go off to the side and try to catch a punt like a receiver. You need to square up on a punt and catch it like a punt returner. And if you can't do that, you probably should let it go. So don't get too confident in your ability to go way outside the fundamentals of fielding a punt. But having said that play had to be the play of the game, because what it could have been for Kansas State and what it turned into for BYU.
It's Matich Monday on BYU Sports Nation with ESPN's Trevor Matich. At this juncture, 4-0, BYU's ranked number 22. Trevor, when you look at the Cougars and everything that they have accomplished and done, what are they doing best right now on the field?
Their defense is astonishing. I mean, you guys have talked about how they've played two Power 4 teams, SMU and Kansas State, and their defense has not allowed an offensive touchdown. I mean, that's astonishing. I'd like to see, just statistically, how many teams in the country have done that. There's probably a few, but we're not accustomed to that from BYU. And so the fact that their defense is playing so well, that travels. That helps the offense, because now the offense is typically not in a situation where they have to go into desperation, heave the ball down the field to come back from behind in the fourth quarter mode, because the defense is keeping that score in check. That's huge, especially when you've got a quarterback like Jake Retzlaff, who is so capable of making so many awesome plays, but also sometimes tries to make a play that's a little too awesome. Well, the defense keeps them from having to even try that very much so far. And so that's what they're doing best. We think of BYU and you think of the string of All-America quarterbacks. You think of the awesome offenses. What's hidden in that is that there were great defenses among those great offenses. This time it's not hidden. This time, so far this season, it's a defense-driven team.
That defense, as you talked about, is tied for 4th in the country with 0.7 offensive touchdowns allowed per game. Georgia hasn't allowed one. Mississippi, Texas, Ohio State, Tennessee, Alabama, BYU. That is pretty good company. BYU's number 22 in the AP poll.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a fair ranking at this point through 4 games?
I think that's fair. I think that's fair. I mean, they're 4-0. They've got 2 Power 5 wins. And when you look at the quality of the Power 5 wins, Kansas State is one of the teams that is widely picked as getting to the Big 12 championship game and even winning the Big 12. SMU won't make it to the ACC championship game, I don't think, because of the way Miami and Clemson are playing, but they are expected to be competitive in that next tier. So those are good quality wins for BYU. If I'm a fan, I wouldn't get too caught up in the rankings right now because there's a lot of tough football to be played. It's nice to look there and see that BYU is ranked, but to me, it's what you guys said before. It's why you're ranked. The quality of opponents that you beat and the way that you beat them. Did you win because of a few lucky bounces of the ball? No, you won because your defense was dominant and your offense did everything it needed to do to play off of that dominance in complementary football. And so I think that ranking is appropriate, and I'm fine with it.
Trevor Matich of ESPN with us on BYUSN. Trevor, Baylor awaits BYU a Saturday morning kickoff, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain. This is the polar opposite of what BYU experienced on Saturday with the late 8:30 p.m. kick in the Mountain time zone. So there is that. And then we find out Baylor is a consensus right now 2.5-point favorite over BYU. What do you make of the line, Baylor as a favorite, and how the kick time might factor into that?
Well, first of all, good, because it's anything that a football team can feed off of in terms of perceived disrespect is good. And so BYU will see that as a slight against them. So yay. As far as the kickoff time, BYU has been all over the map when it comes to kickoff times. I'm guessing that won't be a big issue. It shouldn't be a big issue unless they get inside their own heads about it. But when you look at why is Baylor favored here? For BYU fans, it seems weird because of the dominating win on the scoreboard against Kansas State. But if you drill down a little bit deeper, there are things that BYU can get better at. As great as that defense played, they still gave up 228 yards rushing. The top three ball carriers for Kansas State averaged somewhere between 5.5 and 7 yards per carry in that range. And so they were able to move the ball on the ground well, but those 8 penalties and those turnovers kept them from really taking over on the ground. So that's, and Baylor will feature a running quarterback, whether it's Quinn or Robertson. I'm not sure what Quinn's health is. They'll still have a guy that can run. So it's a similar problem for BYU's defense. We don't want to crown them the 85 Bears just yet. There's still a lot of tough football to be played. And when you look at BYU's offense, they only scored 3 touchdowns on offense against Kansas State, and they were all short fields that the defense gave them. Other than that, they didn't have a long touchdown drive. Now, they had fewer opportunities for long touchdown drives because there were so many short ones. But at the same time, BYU's offense can improve in terms of its consistency as well. So you look at that scoreboard of that game, and it's great, and BYU made the plays they needed to play. But when you dig down deeper, you can see that BYU is still a work in progress and they still have a lot of places where they can get better. They're 4-0 and they're not nearly as good as they're going to be. But you put all that together and you look at the line and I'm like, well, okay, that doesn't bother me. Let's go play the game.
There's only 2 teams in the Big 12 that have played 4 games, won all of them, and won their conference opener. It's BYU and it's Utah. Do you feel like BYU's in the top 5 in the Big 12 right now or just outside it?
It's so hard to say who the top 5 of the Big 12 are right now, because I mean, you can go 8 or 9 teams that should be in the top 5, but I would put BYU in the top 5 right now. And the reason is they've, number one, taken care of business and taken care of business against some very good teams. And in beating one of the top 2 teams consensus, Kansas State, that's in the Big 12, you've got to consider that, okay, we have evidence, we have fruit on the tree. And the things I talked about that BYU needs to improve at, even with that, they still beat and actually throttled one of the top teams in this conference. So you've got to put them right now in the top 5. Right now, I'd say Utah at number 1. I'd put UCF at number 2. UCF is just under the radar, really good. Their running game is just lights out. They're doing some really good things there. Iowa State. Then I put BYU. And then I put Kansas State right behind them. I'm a little worried about how Oklahoma State has been playing to start the season. Their All-American running back, Ollie Gordon, has not been able to get uncorked yet. So I would put BYU right now at number 4, knowing that you could put them at 4, you could put them at 8, and there's very little difference between.
He is a gentleman and a college football scholar. Trevor Matich, once again delivering on BYU Sports Nation. Thanks as always, Trevor.
Thanks, guys.